I would have run.
Mr. Jones, welcome to Charlotte.
All right, thank you. It's good to be here.
What do you hope to accomplish during convention week here?
Look, we're here talking about voter suppression, the need for folks to be unified in fighting it. We're also here talking about the full platform of the NAACP, issues ranging from HIV to job creation to dealing with mass incarceration and getting more funding for education. So there's a kind of a range of issues. We're fairly pleased with the platform that's come out. It's certainly in better alignment with the NAACP's platform than what we saw with the RNC last week.
What specifically is being done to combat Republicans' efforts at voter suppression?
A range of responses. We've fought them legislatively. In this state, we got the governor to veto. We've gotten Republican governors like Skanner in Michigan to veto. We've also pushed DOJ to take action in South Carolina, Texas, Mississippi, Florida, other places. And we're pushing them to take action in Pennsylvania right now. But in the meantime, we are very much focused on making sure that people get their IDs because, God forbid, that they actually are able to impose strict photo ID laws on voting day. We could see a lot of people's votes suppressed.
In your view, why do you think that Governor Romney is polling at 0% among African Americans?
In part because he's not showing courage on these issues. I mean, look, Jack Kemp would have never let that happen. And his protege, Paul Ryan, shouldn't let it happen either. But the way that you ensure that doesn't happen is you get out there and you speak from the heart about issues facing people of color as if they were your own. Because in this country where we're a nation of laws, not of men, where our young people every day say a pledge that we're one nation, under God, indivisible, there really shouldn't be any space in a politician's brain to say those are black issues, and I'm not going to trumpet them as if they're my own. Or those are Latino issues, and I'm not going to trump them as if they are my own. Because if you're vice president, if you're president, you'll be vice president of all the people. You'll be president of all the people. And the test of your medal is right now. Are you able to articulate an agenda that has space for the problems affecting our communities, that acknowledges that you, if you're called to this office, are called to do something to help your fellow citizen? And unfortunately, last week in Tampa, when they could have given a Jack Kemp-like speech, or a John Heinz-like speech, or an Ed Brooks-like speech, or something like any of these Republicans who knew how to connect with the civil rights community, the black community, just didn't do it. Didn't even do it at our own convention. And the floor was theirs.
Let's talk about Tampa for a moment. What was your reaction to the Republicans' efforts to sort of put what they consider diversity on display, the diversity that is within their party? Did that resonate with you at all?
Well, they had 48 black delegates. It was the lowest number ever. They don't need to focus on sort of window dressing or displaying, the black folks who are here today. They need to focus on messages that actually really resonate in the black community. And not messages of division, but messages of unity. Talking about what you can do for small businesses. Talking about the common cause we've already found with so many in the Republican Party on criminal justice reform. I mean, we pushed through 12 progressive bills in Texas that Governor Perry signed, working with the Tea Party. We pushed through bills in Georgia that Governor Deal signed, working with the Tea Party. We have common cause on this notion that the prisons are too big, that drug laws aren't working, that we need to focus on treatment, not incarceration, with fiscal conservatives, with religious conservatives, and with libertarians. And they could have talked about those issues, but they didn't. They stood silent. It makes you even wonder if they're even paying attention. And it's frustrating, because reality is that the Republican Party used to be the party of civil rights. When we were founded, our founders tended to be Republicans and they belonged to one of the major parties. And that party with such a rich legacy that it's come to this is deeply disheartening.
One of the speakers of color last week was Artur.
And this has to be the last.
Absolutely. Artur Davis.
Yeah.
As you know, he seconded President Obama's nomination 4 years ago. This year he's speaking at the Republican convention. Is he, in your view, an outlier perhaps indicative of some people's disappointment in President Obama?
You know, ever since he came out in support of voter ID, something that Governor McDonnell, Republican in Virginia, couldn't support, that Snyder, governor of Michigan, couldn't support, he's been a bit of an outlier in civil rights in my mind. It's not surprising. You know, his grade with us when he was a congressman from Alabama wasn't the best. But to see him come out now and champion vote suppression of black voters is deeply disheartening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. If we could get a...
Get you out of Korea.
Oh, is this...